Oh, those boys are much too much. Those boys are much too much. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We're going to beat them and bust them.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Let's get a little bit rowdy. R-O-W-D-Y.
Take time to be a dad today. Call or visit fatherhood.gov to learn more.
Thank you for calling your GED Pep Talk Center. All right, now, are you ready for your GED Pep Talk?
Being nervous is okay. It just shows that you're serious about getting your diploma.
A lot of things are scary. Heck, I'm scared of clowns.
No quiero ir. No lo puedo hacer.
DMC, life in your pep talk style.
Just keeping it real, Debs. Just keeping it real.
Whatever motivation you need, we've got a pep talk for you. Get your GED pep talk and find free classes at yourged.org.
All in together now. We can make it better now. Come on, can we do it?
Yeah, you know that we can.
We'll rope it up,
cause we know how to jump.
We'll roll it out,
cause we know how to skate.
We'll cut it down,
cause we know what to eat.
We'll swap it out.
We eat healthy stuff.
Can we do it?
Yeah, you know that we can.
Can we do it?
Just moving a little and eating better every day can help make you and your child healthier. Search We Can to find doable tips and activities that you can use every day.
Evening and welcome to this week's edition of The Message. I am your host, Donatus King. We'll spend this next hour with one purpose in mind, and that one purpose is delivering the message that God is Almighty. Everything that ever was, is now, or ever will be was made by God. Everything that ever happened, is happening right now, or ever will happen was made to happen by God. God has a master plan for all time and all creation. God is Almighty. The message is brought to you by, is produced by the Society of Knowledge Incorporated. The Society is an interdenominational, religious, spiritual organization. Our members come from various different religious and spiritual backgrounds. We have various different religious and spiritual beliefs. Although we come from different backgrounds and have different beliefs, there's one belief that we share. There's one piece of knowledge that we hold in common. And that's the knowledge that there is a being, by no matter what name we may have been taught to call that being, by no matter what name we may have come to know that being, whether that name be God, Allah, Yahweh, Buddha, Jehovah, nature, by no matter what name, we know that there is a being that possesses not some of the power, not most of the power, but all of the power. That's the reason we do this show, and the only reason we do this show, to deliver the message that that being that personally I call God, that being is indeed Almighty. Today is July the 13th, 2017. I remind you of that fact because tonight, as we are on most Thursdays, we are live. And I remind you of that fact because this show is an open discussion. It's a two-way conversation. For those of you that are watching by television, the telephone number that you see on the screen, I invite you to use that number. Call in. Those of you that are watching on Facebook, I invite you to post a message and participate in the discussion. If there's something that's going on in your church, your mosque, your masjid, your temple, your place of worship, and you want to let the world know about it, call in and let the world know about it. If there's something that's going on in your nonprofit organization and you want to let the world know about it, call in and let the world know about it. More important, at least in my opinion, more important than what's going on in your place of worship, more important than what's going on in your nonprofit organization, if there's something that God has done for you in your life, a miracle that God has worked in your life. And I say that word miracle, I say it literally. The God I'm here to tell you about works miracles. I'm not talking about worked miracles in the past. I'm talking about in the year 2017, July 13, 2017, the God I'm here to tell you about is working miracles. So if God has worked a miracle in your life, it may have been some health issue. You might have tried all different types of medicines, all different types of doctors, surgeons, and nothing cured you. And then just all of a sudden, your body was healed. You know, we read about that. People have been diagnosed with cancer, and next thing you know, they go and they can't find not one cancer cell in their body. If God has worked a miracle in your life, call in and share your testimony. You know, your testimony might be the one thing that someone that's watching this show all around the world, the one thing that someone needs to hear to encourage them, to give them strength, to help them to hold on. So call in and share your testimony with the world. We do have they're not guests anymore. I'm not going to call them guests. They've been on the show a couple of times now, so they're no longer guests. Welcome back our friends tonight that will be with us. But before we do that, I just want to take one moment, and that's to dedicate tonight's show in the memory of my mother. She passed some time ago, but today would be her birthday, and that's Shirley Mercadal. So I just want to pay tribute to her and dedicate tonight's show to her memory. So now we do have a caller. I'm going to be with you in just a minute, but I want to welcome again our friends, Divine Prince. How you doing, Prince? All right. And Brother Joshua Tanner. How you doing, brother? Excuse me, Prince. All right, good. Before we get into our discussion, and viewers, we're going to continue our discussion tonight, and that discussion is the conflict between spirituality and religion in the black community. And this week, this is the third show that we're doing on the topic, we're going to get a little bit deeper into the religion of voodoo. But before we do have a caller. Caller, are you there?
How you doing?
I'm doing well. That sounds like Minister Antoine Brown.
Yeah, it's Minister Antoine Brown. I wanted to share. I want to tell everybody thank you for watching my telecast. First of all, that comes on at 8:30 a.m. and 8:30 p.m. on 76 Cox Cable. Also, man, I was listening to. I was somewhere else because I don't pick it down no more because of a lady trying to use me. But I did try and offer her something to, a little get gas money or whatever. Came out of my pocket to do it.
Now, look, Mr. Brown, now you got to watch that now. Offer them ladies a little bit of money now. You got to watch that.
Huh?
I said you got to watch that when you be offering them ladies a little bit of money.
Yeah, I got to watch that. That's why I left.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm gonna tell you something else. These people need some prayers and deliverance, man. I looked at it, even though this dude went through it. I told him, man, when I was there, like I asked him would he have an opportunity in sharing his testimony because you don't know how many people might get delivered behind his testimony. All right, behind how he could have been lost his life, been dead a couple of times or something to the other, for what he went through. And, man, it's holy. People just don't know, man. They miss out on their breakthrough, their blessing.
All right.
And I'll bring it up no more. Don't bring it up no more. I'm like, all right, I pray for you. And left it just like that there.
All right. Well, that's good to be able to have that spirit to let it go on, let it go past.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, brother. Thank you for calling in, and thank you for the work that you're doing out there with your prayer line and all the other work that you're doing in the community.
You're welcome.
All right. That's Minister Antoine Brown called in, and I want to thank Brother Derek, Sister Catherine, Brother Keith joining us by Facebook. Join in the discussion at any time. Post your message there on Facebook. And my brothers, before there's one other piece of business I want to take care of before we get into our discussion. Because when we start rolling, I know, because both of y'all can talk now. So before we start rolling, let me take care of this one piece of business. Viewers, about 3 or 4 months ago, I put out a call. I put out a plea, and that was a call for help. This show, this show's been on for, 12, 13 years, something like that. And everybody is associated with this show, as far as the guests, myself, is free. We do it out of a calling that God has given us. It takes some effort to put the show together. And about 3 or 4 months ago, I started putting out a call, a plea for some help, just to help us, help us improve the show so that we can get the message out there, reach more people, make it more palatable, a bit easier to watch. And a young lady answered the call, answered the plea, and she has diligently helped throughout every week, diligently come to the studio and help put the show together. And I want to just take a minute tonight to publicly say thank you. And I'm going to ask, she's usually behind the cameras, but I'm going to ask Miss Francis, why don't you come on out, Miss Francis? I'm going to ask Miss Francis to come on out. And if you come around this way, Miss Francis. All right, Niffy. And I think we have the cameras locked. I just want to, this is just a token. This is just a token of my appreciation. And I want to thank you for the work that you're doing, helping to get this word out and helping to deliver this message. And I know, your husband might be watching, but I'm going to give you a big hug because I thank you and I appreciate it. All right.
Thank you, Brother King.
All right. You have some words that you want to say now? You're on camera. You're in front of the camera tonight.
No, I would just like to say thank you. And it has been a great experience, a great learning experience since I've been volunteering, to help with this show at the call of the plea. And I just have learned so much just by being here and listening to all the guests. And I've met, a lot of the guests that have appeared on the show. And it has been my privilege to help, and I hope and pray that God will continue to bless me and give me the strength to continue as long as I can. Thank you very much.
All right, Ms. Leosta Francis. Thank you, Ms. Francis. All right, sometimes we gotta take him when God blesses us. We gotta slow down sometime, take the time to say thank you for that blessing. And Ms. Francis has really, truly been a blessing. All right, my brothers, we want to get into, the past couple of weeks we've been talking about the topic of the conflict. And we have an opportunity now. And if you all, I don't know, you might want to try to see if you can pin your mics on to pick up from your other camera. Okay. But we really want to get a little bit deeper. Get a little bit deeper into the religion of voodoo. Okay? And Prince, first of all, tell us your position in the religion, and then Brother Tanner, you can share yours also, and then we open the floor up that we can get just a little bit deeper into what is the religion of voodoo.
Okay, I am the Divine Prince, Pan-African spiritualist, practitioner, author, and advisor. In terms of who I am in voodoo, I am Elagoon, which means one who honors, acknowledges, and serves the elders or the ancestors. Oloye, which means I am a chief voodoo. I'm also a practicing masking Mardi Gras Indian. I'm Chief Black Hawk Voodoo. Voodoo is first of all, is the oldest organized religion in the world. We honor God, heaven and hell, but we acknowledge our ancestors first and foremost. We acknowledge those forces God has given to govern certain aspects of our lives and our experience, and we do so for the betterment of balance, healing, and well-being, not only for ourselves, but for the greater community at large. Like most religions, most churches, we have services, we have prayer, we marry, we bury the dead, we offer healing, we offer prophetic intervention. Some of you call that reading. In the church, they call it prophecy. So we do pretty much what most world religions do, just in a more indigenous cultural perspective.
All right, Brother Tanner?
I don't have, well, my title right now is a student of the religion of Voodoo. Ty, the Divine Prince, he's pretty much spelled it out, the details of Voodoo itself. I'm learning at the time and at the moment just how it's, like he mentioned, is one of the original, or the original religion on earth. And it's something that like it speaks to so much of humanity and the spirit realm, the physical realm, metaphysical realm, and all realms and dimensions of life. So I'm in the process of learning. So that's what I'm doing right now as a student. So I don't want to speak too much specifically, like out of context of things that I don't know, because I realize that I don't know much about I know some of the religion, but not all of the religion. So the basics is what he just spelled out.
Just to kind of clear up some things.
Okay.
You spoke, Prince, about Voodoo being an indigenous religion. I understand we do have a caller. Caller, are you there?
Yeah, good evening.
Sounds like Brother Chris.
How you doing, Messenger?
I'm doing good. And Brother Chris, since you're on, I want to invite our viewers by Facebook. If you scroll down on my Facebook page, and there's a short video that Brother Chris submitted, and I have it posted on my page, and we're working, Chris, and I know that you're working also on getting the video in a format that we will actually be able to play it on the show. And it's an introduction. Brother Chris calls in and participated in the show for a number of years. It's an opportunity for folks to actually see Brother Chris.
17, I think it is 17 years.
Yes,
I've been doing this for a while with you, and for people to pray with me. I mean, if I could pray with them, and they could pray along with me too. But I just wanted to say thank you, Mr. King. You had inspired me more. Every Thursday, I thank you for your program. I thank you for your spiritual word. God is Almighty. And yes, I may be disabled.
All right. And Brother Chris, that phone number, and Brother Chris does maintain a prayer line. So viewers, if you're ever in the need of having someone to pray with you, there's no charge for that. Brother Chris maintains a prayer line, and that number is 504-866-5042. That's 504-866-5042. I thank you, Brother Chris, for the work that you're doing. And for those of you that are unaware, Brother Chris, I know you don't mind me sharing. Brother Chris, what is it? Is it muscular dystrophy that you have, or what is it?
No, I have cerebral palsy.
Cerebral palsy. All right, so viewers, and Brother Chris is a true inspiration. That this is a brother that's out here working in the community, and it's a blessing, the work that he's doing. So, Brother Chris, thank you, brother.
Thank you, Mr. King, and I love you, and I love your panel. God bless you.
All right, love you.
I'll be opening up next week.
All right, love you too, my brother. All right,
Okay, God bless.
Hey, we have. You were saying something, Prince?
I was just saying all is a blessing. I was telling you.
Yeah, truthfully, all is a blessing. And you know, sometimes some folks might say that, and I reflect upon that when you say all is a blessing. When you're able to, when you have been blessed to the point where you can say that all is a blessing, that's truly a blessing in and of itself. You know, all is a blessing. You know, whether I'm here or whether I'm there, all is a blessing. That's a blessing in and of itself. Sister Sharon, thank you for joining us on Facebook. Getting back to the question before I call it, and that is, you've spoken about voodoo being an indigenous religion, and we've spoken about voodoo being practiced on the continent. Is voodoo a race-restricted religion?
Voodoo is not necessarily a race-restricted religion per se. As I was trying to explain on the last show when the sister called in about ethnicity and diversity and why does that matter in seeking God. First, I want to say the way she used the word God was referencing to Christianity specifically and how Christians view God. But for us, God is everything, everywhere, in all places, at all times. And God created ethnicity. God created diversity. We often refer to voodoo as well as West African traditions as blood religions. Many people look at that and think first about blood sacrifice, like in the Old Testament, goats and sheep and that sort of thing being utilized in the ceremony. But it also travels through the blood, through the family. We often refer to that as lineage in traditional West African-based systems. So to make it more clear, I often reference on my daily broadcast a Orisha romance. And that is where we've been given access to these traditions by way of social media, the internet, and particularly Yoruba. They are the most prolific writers in West Africa, the most prolific in terms of publishing books, articles, documents that explain Orisha and Olodumare and how it works. So often in social media, particularly with our younger generation, they embrace what I call the Orisha romance, Shango, Oshun, the various deities, but they don't get any deeper in terms of DNA, who they are, what ethnic connections they have to West Africa. So as I explained in my very first show, DNA is mandatory in my house so that we can get a better fix on who these ancestors are that you are acknowledging. And all of us are not Yoruba. All of us are not Akan. All of us are not Fan. All of us are not Hebrew. All of us are not Egyptian. So when we stake claim to these cultures, these ethnic groups and these traditions without any real solid foundation in terms of being ethnically connected to them, there's a bit of what we now call appropriation that goes on. And that's when we sort of embrace others' culture, which is fine, but it becomes unhealthy, unbalanced when we then sort of misappropriate other people's culture as our own without any real connection to it. So ethnicity, I believe, matters to God. It matters in the spirit realm. I think it matters in terms of religion and what we're exposed to. Here in the Western world, it's assumed that we're all Christian. It's on the money, you know, it's built into our government and many of our government's attitudes and politics. And so we say we are a free country of religion, free to express who you truly are, but it's assumed automatically that everyone should bow and submit to a Christian way of thinking. So ethnicity does matter, I believe, to me, to the practice of religion, the practice of voodoo, and even to God who created ethnicity and diversity to begin with.
All right, we see Sister Latoya. Thank you for tuning in on Facebook, and all of our viewers that are watching on Facebook. I invite you to share. Okay, share the post, share it with your friends, and not only share it with your friends, but write a comment, join this discussion. If you have any questions or any info that you want to share through your comments, please feel free to do that. You mentioned a daily broadcast. Why don't you give us some info on that daily broadcast?
I broadcast every day, 12 noon U.S. Central Standard Time. I may miss a day or a weekend if my schedule is overwhelming, but I broadcast at noon. I call it the Power Lunch. Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes on Blog Talk Radio. Blog Talk, B like boy, L-O-G, talkradio.com/the-divine-prince. And you must put that hyphen, that subtraction mark between the Divine Prince in order to pull up the correct URL. Our live listen-in and call-in number is area code 347-215-8967. Press the number 1 on your telephone keypad. We'll be more than happy to take your questions, comments, and concerns. We're very open to communicating. We're open to your questions. Don't be fearful. Don't think we're going to be offended, whether it be here on the message or during our daily live broadcast. We certainly appreciate your comments and your participation. And website? My personal website is www.houseofthedivineprince.com. This is the website for not only my voodoo temple, but also my Black Hawk masking Indian group, www.blogtalkradio.com. All right, and viewers on TV, you see the phone number that's on your screen, and you can always, if you didn't get that website, we're going to make sure before the end of the show that we get the website up again and that phone number. But as always, if you need more information, you miss something, you can give me a call during the week. Matter of fact, don't even wait during the week. You call me right now, and there'll be a recording that will take the information and we'll get back with you. And that number you see, that's on the screen right now, viewers. And for those of you that are on Facebook, just leave me a post, tell me you want some more information about how to contact the Prince, and we'll make sure that we get that information to you. You know, we as always, this time goes by real quick, but there are a few areas of discussion that I do want us to get into before the end of the hour, and I'm just going to, we spoke the past couple of weeks, we spoke about the history of the religion of voodoo, so we're not going to go into that anymore tonight. Why don't you give us an idea about a typical voodoo service from the very beginning, from when they first walk through the door until they walk out the door? Okay, gladly. But before I proceed, I owe my mother an apology. My mother contacted me after last week's show. She was very upset. She wanted me to clarify the comment, the statement that I made, unifying her and my dad together as both being representatives of evangelical Christianity. I wanted to be clear for your audience, because I know many of your audience go to church and believe in the Bible and believe in God. I didn't want anyone to say he chose voodoo because he didn't know God or didn't know church. I didn't want anybody to say that somehow my background had something to do with why I've chosen this path. So I spoke and invoked my parents' name together because I wanted everyone to know that both of my parents are evangelical ministers. But let me be clear. Some of you know my dad. My dad is not an example of what I would call a positive example of the church. They are like night and day. My mom, in my mind, in her son's mind, is one of the most perfected Christians walking the planet. My dad is not. He represents every negative stereotype that we identify with: the crooked preacher, the pimping preacher, the good-looking black minister who sort of abuses and takes advantage of that power. So I apologize to my mother, to those who are watching, and you have a lot of church folks watching this show. I know it for a fact because they contacted me, so that they would see that clear distinction. I have seen good examples, positive examples of people who claim the Bible, who claim Jesus, who claim Christianity. But at the same time, I feel that the salvation of black people is in Africa and is in our ancestry and going back to the roots from which we began. I believe our salvation is directly linked to that. Our young people are crying out for help. Our older people are crying out for help. Our seniors don't have the support system that they've grown accustomed to. And our young people don't have the support system that should be in place for them. So often when I reference the church, it's not good. And it's based on my experiences that sort of led me down this path. But I don't want anyone to think that I don't know Jesus, that I don't know the Bible. I quote the Bible better than some of you. I'm more familiar with this religion than many of you. I've dedicated, just as Brother Tanner dedicated his life to theology, the study of, the practice of, the research of, not just Christianity, but all world religions. It's a part of the journey of self-discovery. So that's how I came to religion of voodoo. I felt like I really needed to say that. My mother was not going to let me get away without responding to it. And so there you have it. So having said that, my religious background is evangelical Christian. So to some of you, the voodoo ceremony is going to be very similar. You have prayer and worship. We have prayer and worship. We come in, we invoke spirit, we thank God, we testify, we share our experiences as Dr. Donatus talks about miracles. What has God done for you lately, today, not 20 years ago? We do that. We open up in song. Zuke baye leg baye, zuke baye leg baye. And then we go into prayer and we pray to the Most High. We invite the presence of the ancestors in all things that we do. And then as you do, we have a message that we often share, that there's a purpose for the ceremony. We have weekly ceremony, like you might have Sabbath on Saturday or you might have Sabbath on Sunday. We have weekly gathering. As I introduced last week, we have public gatherings. Sometimes we come together in Congo Square on Sundays at 2 o'clock. Then we have more private, personalized ceremonies when people back up against the wall, when people are dealing with a particular need, request, an illness, the law, someone's child might be in jail. We might come together at any hour of the day or night and pray and sing and invoke spirit and invoke change. We prophesy, much like evangelical spiritualist churches do, in public, in the midst of a ceremony, but then we also do so on a more personalized, therapeutic level. Many of you now call that reading. I often refer to that as divination, utilizing the ancient systems of palm nuts, pounding palm nuts, or casting cowrie shells or kola nuts to hear directly from spirit and then interpret those into words that we can utilize at a common, practical basis in our lives each and every day.
I wanted a whole bunch of questions here, but Brother Tanner, as far as have you attended any services?
Yes, I have. Actually,
why don't you share with our viewers your experience during the service?
My experience during the service, one of the services that's most memorable to me, actually it's a couple, but the most memorable service that I've attended was a Obatala ceremony, which Obatala is the one of the guys that helped create, in the creation story of voodoo, is one of the guys that helped create Earth.
Obatala is the god of the white cloth. He's considered in our traditions the creator of form. So he crafted the human body. So we often will go to him for conditions of the head, mental health, which I talk about a great deal on my show, how mental health is almost a taboo topic in the black community. We don't seek God. We don't seek therapy. We don't seek psychologists, psychiatrists. We seek God. We seek Jesus. We seek church. We seek religion. So in Voodoo, Fan, Akan, Yoruba specifically, this deity, Obatala, literally means of the white cloth. So when you think about the Terry service of old, when the mothers board all wore white and sat and prayed and laid hands on all night long, tearing means to wait, waiting on the Spirit of God to come. That energy is incarnate in what we know as Obatala in our religion. Right. So he is the father, mother, creator, God, if you will, in our tradition.
All right.
I didn't want to take the mic.
Yeah, tell us about your experience.
But in that ceremony, we had we was initiating someone in our house, and at the time, and me coming into it, it started off with us drumming. We was drumming. The drum is used to really to kind of lay the foundation of everything of spirit, and started drumming. We started drumming specific songs, chanting specific songs to actually, I guess you can say, in relation to calling upon certain spirits and certain deities to help us with that service, to initiate the initiate that was coming in. That ceremony was very powerful, spiritual in a sense. I'm a very intuitive person myself, so I would say that the similarities between that and being in church was very similar, and it was very not shocking to me. I guess it was kind of like home in a sense, and we had people catch the spirit, catch different spirits. Doing that process is all hands-on, and that's really like the times where you really learn and you educate yourself about what's happening, what's going on, why she's doing this, why she's reacting in this aggressive manner, or why is she's so, whatever characteristics that bodily, the gestures that they may be giving, displays and gives you information on what's happening with them. So it keeps you very aware of what's going on. It's like as if everything was moving in those ceremonies. Also, they have certain rituals that goes through. In that ceremony that's private and sacred, that I can't really speak of and speak out to. But it's just like church, just being, there's certain deacons that pass around a collection plate, and there's certain deacons that go back and count the money behind the closed doors. So it's similar in that sense, where you have access to a certain amount of information in the ceremony. I was actually one of the armor bearers, so I was able to kind of get a full scope of things in reference to the creation of it, and to the implement of it, to the.
And how long have you been connected with the house?
I've been connected with the house actually for. Jesus.
You're looking at me to answer the question?
About a year.
About a year?
About a year.
About a year, all right. There's something.
Because with me, the reason why I said that and hesitated on that, because this journey of voodoo, the journey of me understanding where I need to be in my path, started way before, not say way before Divine Prince, but it did start before Divine Prince, and he just has helped me as a not master teacher, I won't use that word, but as a voodoo chief, to really get an understanding of all those things that I've experienced in my life, to get a better understanding of where things needs to be and organized.
Right. We do have a couple of Facebook comments, and I'm glad that you have, our Facebook friends have chimed in here. We have one and I just make sure we get it back here. All right, Sister Latoya, she speaks about the Orisha, and if you let me make sure I get back to that. Why don't you let me see if I can pull this up, get right back to here. All right. This is all right. Orisha romance is a perfect example, and this was directed to you, Prince.
When we say Orisha, when we even use that word Orisha, we're speaking Yoruba. Many of you are familiar with Ashe Cultural Arts Center on Aretha Castle Haley here in town. When you say Ashe, you are speaking Yoruba. So when I talk about ATR, African Traditional Religious Systems, I'm grouping all of West Africa together. But when we say Orisha, we're speaking specifically Yoruba. Now, Orisha are the deity of the Yoruba religion of Ifa. If we were Akan ethnicity, or Fan ethnicity, or Iwe ethnicity, we would not say Ifa, we would say Fa. And then the Orishas are called something completely different based on the ethnic language or practice you're speaking. You may be familiar with Haitian Voodoo, where they're called Loa in Haitian Voodoo, not Orisha. So when you say Orisha, I'm assuming you're talking about Yoruba. The Orisha represent the forces of nature, if you will. Oshun, fresh water, Oshun River in Nigeria. Love, relationships, prosperity, cleansing, birth. When we think of Yemaya, salt water, the ocean, motherhood, the great mother, the grandmother, the nanny, big mama, that's Yemaya. So these Orisha, if you will, have taken on what I call a life of their own in social media. We can Google them without studying them in earnest or initiating in them earnest. We can Google photographs of them that might catch our eye, might be appealing to us. You might be a young person, you're interested in love, you're intrigued by love, so you might be curiously drawn to Oshun and Oshun imagery. That's what I call the Orisha romance. Often this takes place, and then you have self-made practitioners, if you will, of these traditions that know nothing about the religion itself, the culture, the language of the religion. And so I'm, in all honesty, being facetious often when I use that language, Orisha romance. Someone who has a love for, an infatuation for, an interest in, a crush on, if you will. And a crush is not the same thing as getting to know, building a relationship, courting, dating, getting engaged, and then getting married, you know, to use that symbolism.
Right, Prince. That great, and I want to, because we do have a couple more comments, so we get our Facebook audience involved here. Brother Jeff, how does voodoo compare or differ from Kemetism?
Many people, again, when I say voodoo is the oldest organized religion, often associate that oldest right back to Kemet. How they identify.
And what's Kemet?
Kemet is the real pronunciation of ancient Egypt. We've been taught ancient Egypt through English and other linguistic, Eurocentrically based philosophers who've written about East Africa. But when we talk specifically to the culture, they were Kemet.
So you Kemet, and you say Egypt, but you could also say East Africa, because Egypt is
in
part
East
of
Africa. That's
Africa.
right.
Okay.
We've been taught it's a part of the Middle East, and somehow it's no longer connected to West Africa. The Nubians, for instance, Meroe, many of the black African empires that surround Egypt, Sudan even today, speak strongly and dramatically about what Egypt really is, who Egypt really is. I often will also speak to a Kemetic romance or an Egyptian romance. There was a time on Facebook when everyone had Akhenaten and Amun-Ra up, you know, representing Dr. York and Dr. York's movement, New Wapian, and many of those have never taken a DNA test, and often will find that they have no Egyptian blood whatsoever. So when I use that romantic language, I'm talking about the sort of embracing of any culture that I want in social media, in the new world, without being really committed to anything wholeheartedly and in earnest.
Yeah. Thank you, Tel, for sharing our broadcast with your friends. Thank you, Brother Derek, for joining in. Brother DGK for joining in. Sister Johnson for joining in on Facebook. And I remind all of our Facebook participants to hit that share button and share it with your friends. I hate cutting things short like this, but you mentioned a minute ago about Orisha and the Orisha romance, but you also mentioned as far as folks Googling. Are there any particular sites that you would recommend that folks could gain a little bit knowledge? No.
Listen.
Go to the House of Divine Prince. Go to that website.
I get that question often, almost every day. What should I read? What should I be studying? My honest answer is study everything. Everything. We sort of have this very condensed way of viewing knowledge. Is it in one book? Is it in one place? Is it in one teacher? Is it in one location? And it's not. If God is ever present in all things, so too is this knowledge. So first, I would say read everything, but then assume that you need more understanding, more information. You cannot learn and absorb any of these West African-based traditions from a book. You just can't. And there are going to be mysteries within these traditions that can't be explained clearly in a book. As Brother Joshua said, you have to really participate. It was in the participating in the ceremony where what he had been learning collided with his real world experience, with his demonstration. So read everything, study everything, study whatever religion you are. And demonstrate. Whatever religion you're trying to become, and then demonstrate that knowledge in your walk, and all truth will come to you.
We had a follow-up question from Brother Jeff, and that was related to voodoo and Kemetism. And the follow-up is, does that mean that voodoo and Kemetism are somewhat one and the same?
To some degree, yes. When I say indigenous practice, Kemet is just one place. And again, for some reason, the African American singles Kemet out above and beyond all their genetic DNA history. When I did my DNA, I found I had 0 Northeast African blood. I had some Southern, like Maasai blood, but nothing from the North. So, beloved, listen to me. When you look at indigenous culture, the Mayans, the Aztecs, you'll see very similar themes to Kemet. So yeah, one and the same might be a bit much, but they're definitely from the same root, the same idea that there's a heaven and a hell, a God, but each particle of God can be traceable, can be found in the design of creation. So all these indigenous cultures knew forces that govern fertility, crop growth, prosperity, healing, death, all of those things. So there's a strong similarity, if not shared root, with voodoo, ancient forms of voodoo, and East African, particularly Egyptian or Kemetic practice and tradition.
Okay. When we're speaking about the service, and Brother Tanner brought up the drumming, the chanting, and that's something that's, you find that as you observe, you find that in a lot of Christian churches also. Correct. And I want to just take that just a little bit, not in a different direction, but the same direction. All those drumming, chanting, vibrations, energy, and bringing this location to a certain frequency. And we find that, and we like to talk a lot about science on this show, on how science, when you start talking about energy and vibrations and the impact that can have on everything, not only the human body, but on everything. And sometimes the intensity of the experience is increased by the drumming, the chanting, and we see that not only, as you've just explained, in voodoo and also in our Christian churches, but we even read in some works like the Bible when it speaks about using, these different instrumentalities.
You're right about that. I actually thought about this the other day. And I was thinking about the story in the Bible about Joshua. My name is Joshua. I was thinking about Joshua and Moses when Moses and Joshua departed, and the Israelites was trying to get to Jericho, and they had to get through the wall of Jericho. And what they did was very profound in that sense. Mm-hmm. They blew horns, a ram horn, out that ram horn, and they did it on a consistent basis. They didn't just do it for a couple of hours and they did it on a consistent basis until that energy, until that level of frequency got to the point where those walls just came down, mm-hmm. and they was able to take over the city.
I've listened to the comments you've made relating to science. For viewers, right on that topic about energy and frequencies, not dealing with religion, spirituality, anything else like that, but dealing with science, I want you to Google Tesla, Tesla, Google Tesla. And it's just a scientific fact, an engineering fact, that even when it comes down to building structures such as bridges and things like that, that vibration can be set so that that structure can be brought down, just with vibrations that might be caused by wind, caused by, other forces. So just Google that, Tesla, and I think it's Nikola Tesla, dealing with energy. Yes, Prince.
I also want to say, keeping in theme with the conflict of spirituality and religion, music brings it home. I think that there would not be any music in Christianity without us. If we go back far enough, in the beginning, we weren't allowed to even have access to the Bible, to church, to preaching. Slave wasn't allowed in the church house. Then they allowed us in, but we had to sit in the back, or sit in the basement, or sit in the balcony. Then they allowed us to have our own space, and that's when the issue of music came into play. And that was also around the time that the black codes in the South were being written. This is after the Haitian Revolution, and now they're fearful of any religious gathering invoking escape, invoking freedom in the spirit of the slaves. So there was a time we weren't allowed to drum, to dance, to make any music, to make any noise in association with religion or thought process. You heard me talk about Congo Square. A part of what makes Congo Square historic and powerful is that's one of the places we were allowed to go and gather on Sundays as a slave population and drum and invoke those spirits. Often people don't enjoy the service without the choir and the drums and the rhythm. And I think that's something that's indigenous to us as a people, as a black people, but it also invokes the spirit. You don't get quite the same feeling in the Methodist Church. You don't quite get the same feeling in the Lutheran Church as you do in the strongly African-dominated church groups where we tap those forces, those frequencies, those powers through music.
Now, and that's a good segue. We have maybe about 4 or 5 minutes left in the show, and I did want to touch upon a lot of people, when they hear the word voodoo, the first thing that pops into their head is spells and powers. Touch upon that a little bit. Spells and putting the roots on folks. Touch upon that.
First of all, again, we have to go back to enslavement. Anything African, anything indigenous would have been demonized. They didn't want you tampering with anything from the old world, from lack of better knowledge. So our fear of ourselves, our fear of African-based traditions was programmed, was a conscious choice by the oppressors, and has affected us as a people deeply. It's surprising to me, the people who are in fear of spell work and curses from practitioners of voodoo, but they're not concerned about that from the sister or brother sitting on the pew next to them.
Now you see, you just touched on something. I'm glad you're making that parallel, because there's a lot of folks that say, voodoo, or that's spells and all the rest of that. But in your Christian church, you speak about Catholics lighting candles and folks say that you can tithe so much and a certain thing will happen in your life, your prayer cloth and the rest of that. Go ahead, brother. Go.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Josh.
We can go on and on about spells and how can I say this? I mean, it's through my research and through my understanding of religion and understanding religion, I understand that there are spells in all types of religions, and I don't personally understand the fear of that when you like you said, you're centered around that in Christianity. You have do a communion where you eating the body and the blood of Jesus Christ, and I'm just like, how is that not cannibalism?
And if you don't know, your brother and your sister is using the book of Psalms against you. I run into it every day. People who claim church, who claim evangelical Christianity, and they're burning candles, invoking very specific Psalms from the book of Psalms, which we know to be one of the oldest spell books in the world, the book of Psalms. Just read it with your eyes open. Pay attention to what you're seeing. So any religion, any mindset can be used to do evil, to do fleshly, carnal, earthbound things. Voodoo is no different.
All right, we have just a couple minutes left in the show, and I want to make sure I said I would do it. Let's do it. Your daily broadcast, how can you reach that?
12 noon U.S. Central Standard Time, www.blogtalkradio.com/the-divine-prince. Call-in number is 347-215-8967. My website is www.houseofthedivineprince.com. I do have a temple number which will transfer you directly to my private cell. That number is 504-265-1699. If you need an appointment, just shoot me an email. I'll be very happy to assist you.
All right, we have about 90 seconds. We're going to start out 45 seconds. Brother Tanner.
All is a blessing. I'm just glad to be here, and I'm glad that you've created this space for other people of like minds to be able to share and commune together. And I like the feedback that we've been getting, and hope to talk to you guys soon.
All right, Prince. The Divine Prince.
Yes.
45 seconds.
All is indeed a blessing. We come to share, to teach, to empower the community. We're not here to create confusion. We're not at odds with the church or anyone else. We just want the community to realize there are options, there are alternatives, and we are here for you. All is a blessing.
All right. As we close out, I admire this brother, viewers. One of the things he started out with was getting things straight with his mother, and that's very, very important. But as we close out, I want to just thank all of our viewers on TV and Facebook. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. And there's an almighty being, no matter whatever it is that God has in store for you this next week coming up. My prayer is that God blesses you and yours with peace.